And welcome back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. That was a little too hyped. How we doing, guys? Welcome back to the Book Club Bros podcast, guys. Part 4 of The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas J. Stanley and William D. Danko. And way to end it off. We were just talking about it off air, and Miguel loved this one story about Mr. Andrews. And I have to agree. That was pretty good. But guys, yeah, if you are new here, welcome in, welcome in. We just finished the Millionaire Next Door book, and we read for part 4, 175 all the way to 246, and yeah. So let's get it kicked off with the for the chapter affirmative action family style. Their adult children are economically self-sufficient. And we're just going to dive right in. I don't have anything. I don't have any key points or highlights all the way up until, goodness. Way. I'm over in the 200s.
Oh, nice.
203 is my first highlight.
Dang, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Just went through the motions on that first time.
I guess so. I don't know.
it was talking about housewives. I don't know if
Yeah,
that has
it's true.
To
It
do
did. It
anything.
wasn't that applicable.
But yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty cool to see the different types of housewives that they outlined. But mine was on, like, my true one was on 182 at the top. Says women own nearly 1/3 of the small businesses in America. However, approximately 2/3 of these businesses have an annual revenues of under $50,000. It's kind of
It's
crazy.
an interesting stat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was crazy. I highlighted something. I highlighted that too, and then just beneath it, it kind of goes on to say the objective data makes it quite clear. In America, the odds are against women earning high incomes. Some of this variation in income can certainly be explained by biases in the economic marketplace, but biases alone do not fully explain the fact that there are 5 men for every 1 woman in the top 1% of the earned income distribution. Could it be that the tendency for affluent parents to subsidize their daughters is helping to perpetuate this inequality? It's a lot of fancy words in there, but it was basically saying, like, yes, there's like biases against women in the workplace. I think we've all kind of seen that before, or at least you've read about it in some way, experienced it. But it also says, like, is it also the chance that, like, women are twice, 5 times, 10 times more likely to receive money from their parents,
Right.
which makes them not work as much, or not, like, we talked about the example, I think it was last chapter, where this lady was living in her parents' house. They helped her. They paid for all the costs to start her business and all that stuff. And it wasn't like a profitable business, but it didn't matter because she was getting money from her parents, right? So her business was making like $25,000, but she was getting $100,000 from her parents.
Right. And
So it's
living
like,
that
oh yeah, like, do
lifestyle.
your business. It's almost like a, hey, do something with your time,
Yeah. It's like
even though it's not
hobby.
going to be like profitable and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like, so I mean, I thought that was an interesting viewpoint where it's like, numbers don't tell the whole story, where it's just, oh, discrimination, which is definitely there, but also like parents not even realizing that they are not, to say part of the problem, but essentially like part of the reason that it's that way.
Yeah. And then, you right under Miguel's bullet point, it says working women are more than 4 times more likely to leave the workplace than are working men. Now, I do have a quick question. We're all in relationships here, guys. Would you prefer having your significant other stay at home or work?
I've thought about this quite a lot, especially recently. I
if,
think,
if financially capable.
yeah, I would want her to stay home, but knowing my fiance, she has already expressed multiple times, she's like, I'm not just going to stay at home.
Yeah.
I want to go, if I want to go work, I'm going to go work. If I want to go do something, I'm going to go do it. And it's like, that's fine. That is A-okay if that's what you want to do. But I'm going to say eventually, because I feel like eventually we'll all get to that point. But eventually, once we have the income to have our, future wives and our wife stay at home, then, it's nice to have the option. But once again, you can't really control what the woman's going to do to an extent.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's
It's just
how I look at it.
preference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say in years past, I probably would have preferred that, just because so much can go on in the workplace, like, not even from like an insecurity standpoint, but just from like, from a frustration, from like, I feel like there's a lot more that can happen at a job than can happen at home. Especially, I would say more so when it comes to raising kids. Like I don't think it makes a ton of sense to just like, if you're making a ton of money or whatever, and just like have your girlfriend, your fiance, your wife just like, oh, I'm just gonna like literally be at home all the time. Like that's kind of like not a realistic lifestyle, or not. I don't think it's gonna do a lot for you unless you're literally. I mean, you're talking housewife. So these people, I feel like to me it only makes sense if you have like a kid or have kids and stuff like that. That like, especially through those early infant years, you would want them to be at home. Otherwise, like that's just like you're not making as much. It's just going to be way harder to build and accumulate wealth. Like if you really want to be affluent, it helps to just have two incomes, even if one income is like working at Walgreens part time.
Yeah.
Like, just whatever it is, getting a part-time job, getting a full-time job at just like at a typical, working at Marshall's, working at a grocery store, working at a retail store or something like that. Any type of, call that your fun money. Otherwise, all your money is just figure out what to do with it, because there's no other types of income coming in.
Yeah.
And it's not like serving that like kind of motherly type of benefit. What about you?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it is crucial, especially when having, young children, to have the mom there. I think that's really just beneficial for the entire family, especially raising. So, if we're in that financial situation where we can't afford that, where she is just focusing on the house, then yeah, I would prefer that.
Because the alternative is you're both working and then like paying for a babysitter.
Right.
So it's like,
And
yeah, you're either making more money to pay someone, or you're trying to not pay anyone and then be able to fund it yourself. The way kind of I look at it.
But all right, anything else?
186, the Cinderella Sarah story. I thought this was great. It's crazy because the story is like Sarah and her sister. Completely forgot her sister's name, which is kind of terrible. But Sarah and her sister, they grew up together, and their father was So Alice, her sister, grew up under her father. Like her father did everything for her. Sarah was very independent, strong woman. Just she wanted to be able to do whatever she wanted, accumulate the wealth that she wanted. And long story short, Alice, after their father passed away, Alice just was not able to, accumulate any wealth because she was always getting money from her father. And Sarah, on the other hand, went off, did her own thing, and she got very rich. And once Alice passed away, unfortunately, for her kids didn't have any money. So Sarah, being the great aunt that she is, was able to take care of Alice's kids because of the fact that she was able to leave. She was able to accumulate her wealth. She didn't need any help. She built everything on her own, and she was able to help out with her sister's kids in the long run. And it's a crazy story, but it's like, okay, it's like what the book has been repeating constantly. Like if you are able to do it on your own, and you're able to build your own foundation and do things the right way, then you can do things like that. And I mean, the situation itself is unfortunate, but I think it's a good lesson in showing that once you get away from the comfort of being given all this money and you make your own money, you'll be stable and you don't have to worry about anything, even in the long run. So,
and to your point, you say it's a crazy story, but like I just flew home this past weekend, and I was with some friends, and like I just kind of brought this up just as I was reading this book and just kind of talking about different situations. And if you ask around, you realize that like without people talking about it, because money is always a touchy subject, no matter who you talk to about it with, it turns into like, oh yeah, I had 2 friends or 3 friends like this, where it's like, I didn't realize it, but yeah, their parents paid for everything. And then whenever they went, she's like, I had this one friend who just like went to this city that her mom didn't want her to go to for literally no other reason than she didn't want her to go to, and just took all of her money out of her bank account. And it's just like, but no one's going to try and fixate on that because it's a weird thing, but I don't think it's as uncommon. It's just like, almost been normalized to where it's just like, okay, I'm going to pay for this and you're going to do it this way. Because then like you said, you got the Sarahs that'll go off, and it's like this situation doesn't even seem like it's that contentious. Like he's just like, hey, if you do this, I'm not going to pay for you. In a certain way, that kind of makes sense. Like in a certain way, like I don't think if it's coming negatively, like I'm taking all your money, I'm never going to help you again, your car breaks down, find someone else. I don't necessarily think I would agree with that whenever you can afford to give hundreds of thousands of dollars to your other daughter. then I think it just turns into okay, you're taking that route, but she talks about how much it benefits her. The parents all of a sudden can't tell you where your kids are going to school, how to discipline them, when they should go to bed, and stuff like that. Like that alone, like then it's your life, right? That's the vantage point that I have for it. Is like otherwise you're basically always being lectured and always, kind of looking over your shoulder, and you can't really make your own decisions. That's the one thing, like you can't make your own decisions on where to live, what to eat, what car to get, because it's always got to get run through whoever your finances are coming from. So like there's different benefits to it, because like I think it's just more common than you would realize or than expect, because it's money is like in general a weird thing to talk about. Like we all just assume we're all doing okay because we show up and we do what we're doing, but like it's not. It's pretty. People behave in patterns, and I think that this is a pretty common one that they're pointing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they parents have every right to, if they're investing
to a certain extent.
it's like, I think of it as like a business. It's like they're investing, like they brought the money to the table. They have the say and the ultimate say, because they're funding it. And I think sometimes, like, if you are receiving that money and you're not happy with the decision, then like ultimately it's like, well, then you got to make your own if you want that freedom.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday. The guy how he did it was his kids wanted to get a tattoo, and he said, that's a grown up decision. So once you decide to get a tattoo, I will stop paying for your education. But until then, like, you're good. Like, you're making a grown up decision on what you want on your body for the rest of your life. Because he's like, one time I wanted to get a 9/11 tattoo just to commemorate the firefighters that were lost, get my entire back tatted. And he's like, I was glad my dad didn't let me do that, because later on in life, I'm not sure that's
right.
So, like, just whenever you're a kid in the moment and stuff like
yeah.
that. So if you want to make a real life permanent decision, then that's when I stop paying for your education, whether it be college, whether it be whenever. So it's like, if you got the money for that, there's different ways to do it, but everyone's doing it in certain ways.
I like that though. That's kind of.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyone got anything else before my 200?
You know, 200. Go ahead. You've been waiting.
203. I mean, mine's short too. It's not anything crazy. It's just the
Anything crazy.
It's the bold. I really like this. I thought this was really good. It was starting at 200. It says, it breaks into sections of rules for the affluent, aka wealthy parents, and productive children. And it starts off with number 1: never tell children that their parents are wealthy. I was like, you know what? That's honestly pretty good. I would like that. Like, we're going to get to that point where we are, but like, yeah, never tell them exactly how wealthy we are. So when people ask our kids, like, well, your parents are rich. Oh,
we do.
I mean,
fine.
we're well off.
fine.
Like,
Yeah.
we know that.
Yeah.
I think that's just like a nice humbling thing for the kids to know. But yeah, that was mine.
No, I agree with that. I think even with my pops, like, we never talk. It's so crazy because all this stuff that they listed, it's like we don't talk about like our future finances. Like, we don't talk about how much money that my parents actually have, and like but I just know in the back of my head, it's like I know they have it, but I don't think about it because it's like I want to be able to do my own thing.
Yeah.
So I don't, like, once that comes in, it's like, okay, it's the icing on the cake. It's not, oh, I'm waiting to get all this inheritance of money and all this and that. No, I want to have my own.
And I think even especially for your situation, the fact that they don't talk about money that much, like, it almost then, since money is not a constant topic of conversation, you almost feel awkward talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like, but that's like, it'll feel bad at some points, but really it's good because it forces you to think a different way. You can't be thinking like, I got this, like, oh, just whenever I get this money or whenever if no one's talking about it, it's kind of like you said, it's always on the back burner. It's always kind of like there, but it's never like, it's like they specifically talk about, like, the more you talk about money and how much money you have and stuff like that, the easier it is to get into these conversations about who should get what and what, like that. Like, so I think that's definitely good discipline for sure.
Yeah, bro.
And then even to that point, with yours, like, don't tell kids that your parents are wealthy. On page 204 at the top, it says, kids are very smart. They will not follow rules that their parents themselves do not follow. We, such my wife and I, we're well-disciplined parents. We lived by the rules. We taught by example. The children learned by example. There must be congruency between what parents tell their children to do and what parents do. Kids are very perceptive in pointing out inconsistencies.
Dude, it's crazy how much kids can like take in.
Yeah.
I just found out a crazy thing about my fiance on how she holds and cuts her food with a knife.
Mm-hmm.
She presses her finger like a claw on it. I've never seen that before. I pointed it out. I was like, why do you hold a knife like that? Not like
Like a
around the
box cutter
handle.
almost.
Yeah, it's like the fingers
Like a
all the way
little-
out, and she has so much pressure
Like
on
on a
it.
butter knife.
Any knife.
Some of the backsides of knives are sharp.
Any knife should it. And I'm like, why do you do that? And she's like, I have no idea. And then I'm over for dinner, and her mom does the exact same thing.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Yep.
And I'm like, I pointed out to her mom. I was like, you guys you guys hold your knives very odd. And she's like, she does it too. And I was like, yeah. She's like, I didn't even realize she like picked that up. It's so crazy.
Yeah,
That's
bro.
so true.
Sponges. Those kids are sponges,
Yeah.
man.
Mhm.
But
That's why parents matter.
I had some.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Shout out parents. Hey, we going ready.
Well, yeah. As long as they're good parents,
Yeah.
because they
Hey, we going ready.
they're
Yeah.
gonna learn the bad stuff too.
Yes, they are.
But number 9 of the rules that it recommends was emphasize your children's achievements, no matter how small, not their no matter how small, not their or your symbols of success. And I think that key highlight on the back end is not theirs or your symbols of success.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not portraying your kids and how you want to achieve them. It follows up. It says, I'm not impressed with what people own, but I'm impressed with what they achieve. I'm proud to be a physician. Always strive to be the best in your field. Don't chase the money. If you are the best in your field, money will find you. And yeah, I see that a lot, especially in sports. You see that when, the parents are living through the kid with
Mhm.
their success and stuff like that, and the kid doesn't even really like the sport and starts falling out of it.
Yep.
And
I think it's cool too. That last line really hit home for me. Like, if you're the best in your field, the money will find you. I think that even like best or hardest working or something to that degree, because even if you look across, and this is what I always do compared to sports. So if you look across sports and you get the people that are trying to get every penny and everything like that, and then somehow along the line something slips up and they end up having to take a discount because it puts off a bad perception or something like that. Especially like whenever it comes to a team atmosphere, whenever only many people can get so much money and you're trying to petition and stuff like that. But then you have someone like, Kirk Cousins, who just goes about his business, does his stuff. He's like very consistent, but he's accumulated all this money because he put himself in position, and he never begged for the most money, but he always tried to get what he was worth. And then you see some people try to get every penny that they're worth, and then if you don't end up being worth that contract,
Mhm.
just even from an extent, then you don't make as much on your next one.
Yeah.
So you're making 120% here, but then you're making 50, and he's just making 90, 90, 90.
Mhm.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden it's just like, okay, well, you're not trying, your heart's in the right place, your mind's in the right place. And that's, I mean, whenever it comes to money and stuff like that, as long as you're the hardest working, I really like how it says, like, not impressed with what people own, I'm impressed with what they achieve. Like,
yeah.
that's just a disciplined mind to not be caught up in like the way the rest of the world kind of thinks.
Yeah. I have number 10 too. I don't know if you guys
Yeah,
had one.
Definitely.
Did you highlight number 10 too?
Yeah.
Number 10 is on 208. It says, tell your children that there are a lot of things more valuable than money. Good health, longevity, happiness, a loving family, self-reliance, fine friends. And if you have 5 of them, you're a rich man. Reputation, respect, integrity, honest, and a history of achievements. And so out of those, there's like 10 things. And you only need 5 to be a rich man.
Mm-hmm.
Rich in life.
I like it.
But yeah, that's what I had. What do you guys have? I think my next one's like,
We're
I
on the
think this
final
is
chapter.
This is the final chapter, right?
Yep. 211. Find your niche.
219 is
They
when
are
I got
proficient
something.
in targeting market opportunities.
I thought this was interesting because now it breaks down. All right, now we know how the millionaires work, how their thought processes are, but where are they actually making the money? What types of field are they in? And obviously, I think the number 1 was self-employment.
Mm-hmm.
Most millionaires are self-employed, but then it went into the different fields. I think it started off with attorneys, and then so if you're an attorney, what type of attorney? Estate attorney. Then it was CPAs. CPA, every high value, and it said focus on. Didn't it say like focus on what the rich need?
It started to
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it said
right.
one possible avenue is like looking like analyze where the money's going to be coming from these next however many years,
Right.
and then try and
Don't
like
create a
if it
service
fits,
for the poor.
yeah, if it fits within your because that's the one thing too. It's like we don't try and necessarily like just do whatever brings in money. Like you just do OnlyFans and make money. Like you want to do something that like try and find. It says find your niche, and then you want to find like the smart way to use it, I
Yeah.
suppose, because like not everyone wants to be a lawyer
Right.
or a doctor or
Mhm.
like those are great ways to make money, but like find whatever. You can also do it running a dry cleaning business or
Mhm.
being a janitor or something, but not everyone wants to do that.
Yeah.
So then it's just like that's the one thing that they didn't talk about a ton in this book that other books have talked about is more like finding yourself, be true to yourself, do what you want to do, find a way to make it work. This I think that almost is under the umbrella of entrepreneurship. Like
yeah.
if you don't fit into the other things, like try and find what you really love, and then you have to obviously kind of do some work to figure out how to make it a career. But
Mhm. Yeah, bro.
I had something. I thought this was a super interesting fact on 219 about where the money flows and where people want to become millionaires. They all come to America,
Mhm.
and
oh yeah,
within that, I never heard of this law or anything, but the $1 Million Investor Program
Yeah.
was created by Congress in 1990. It allows foreign nationals to attain a permanent U.S. residency if they invest $1 million in a U.S. business, providing that the investment creates 10 jobs. What?
It's so crazy.
dude, what are the laws?
That is so crazy.
I've
bro.
never,
up with these
I've
laws?
never heard that. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Just $1 million.
It's crazy, but at the same time, it's like then you see how it puts it in perspective, like how tough it can be in other countries to try and do your own thing
Oh, yeah.
and be able to, it's like, man, like you see why people want to. That's why I like, try and do it legally, but I don't like. I've never really been the one to be like keep everybody out
Mhm.
of the United States because
Yeah.
like it seems like we gotta go. And honestly, like our people seem to be the worst of the problem, in my opinion, at least up there. Like just the way that people tend to look at it. Like Americans tend to be more of the issue because we try and like almost try and fight back too aggressively compared to being more welcoming and stuff like that and understanding. I think that's something that just is a trait that's lacked by most people. Most people is being able to understand what it's like being in somewhere else because all we know is kind of what we know. We don't even realize how blessed we are probably to live here.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's just like, oh, we're gatekeeping the United States compared to like people, oh, this poverty. I'm coming over here just to work for my family and stuff like that to send money back home just because it's easier to make money here so I can send like it is kind of much easier in the United States to become a millionaire, let alone to even just be able to make money and have more freedom to do what you want to do.
Yeah, I think in this chapter it said like out of the world, like like the percentage of population of like millionaires and the wealthy is like a majority in the United States.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm. And that still holds true today. I feel
Yeah.
like. 'Cause-
Yeah, I think.
Maybe even more so. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Definitely.
this book's written like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. I think my last highlight on 227. That was it. Oh, I got one more after that. But does anyone have anything before that?
No, that was really it, bro.
I guess there was one more chapter.
Building up. Yeah. This one is about. Now this one's about
Jobs.
the jobs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, this is kind of building on what Landon said. You can't predict if someone is a millionaire by the type of business he's in. That was on 227. I thought that was very interesting. And it follows up. It says, after 20 years of studying millionaires across a wide spectrum of industries, we have concluded that the character of the business owner is more important in predicting his level of wealth than the classification of his business.
That's so crazy, bro.
Yeah.
It's
So,
great. Dude, I even
it is.
highlighted the one bracket down where it says we've gone out of our way to emphasize that there is no sure steps in how one can take to become wealthy. Too often reporters ignore these facts. They sensationalize and twist our research findings. Yes, you are more likely to become affluent if you are self-employed, but what some of these reporters don't tell you is that most business owners are not millionaires and will never become close to being wealthy. So it's like you have to understand that whenever you're reading a book about millionaires, that it's balance that I can do it too with the most people aren't.
Mhm.
yeah.
you know, got like being able to balance, like that's where the character and stuff like that comes in. Like they were gonna become a millionaire in a different way probably if it didn't happen this way,
Yeah.
because it's like not like we're predestined necessarily. I think you can work and you can change and stuff like that, but like if you don't, at the end of the day, kind of put a really high price tag on, you know, your discipline and who you're talking to for your finances and stuff like that, then it'll just be that much more difficult. Then it comes down to how much money can you earn,
Exactly.
because you're not maximizing.
Yeah, I agree. And it is kind of crazy because it really does come down to like your self choices when it comes to wealth.
Yeah.
Like it's not, you don't have to be physically fit to be wealthy. There's not really anything that's inhibiting you to just follow what the patterns that are kind of provided in this book. I had something on 241, and that is it. That is mine. Does anyone else have anything before that?
I thought it kind of put it in good perspective that like even the millionaires understand how fortunate they are and like how many things had bounced their way. At the bottom of 230 it says many external and often uncontrollable factors influence the profitability of industries and firms within those industries. Often the presence of high numbers and profitable firms within an industry attracts more and more people to the industry, which can have dampening effects on profits. Changing in consumer preferences can also affect profits, so can actions of the government. And then it jumps down and says, many successful business owners have told us that they enjoy short periods of rough times in their chosen industries because they weed out that much more competition. So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, all these people are in the same business that people are making millions in, but then a tough time hits and then so many people leave, and then all of a sudden you're making more from those people.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a survival of the fittest to the most, to a certain extent.
Yeah. I like that one too because they're like hoping for a bad time.
Yeah.
Because then it eliminates competition.
Yeah.
Miguel, did you have anything before 240?
No, that was really it, bro.
I guess mine was on page 241. Talks about courage. Courage is behaving in a way that conjures up fear. Yes, Larry. Courageous people, entrepreneurs recognize fear in what they are doing, but they deal with it. They overcome their fears. That's why they are successful.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about being a lack of fear. It's just about overcoming the fear, and they identify it, which I thought that was a good way to lay out courage, and that is what I had for that. You have anything to wrap us up, Lando?
I got one highlight actually on 245, especially kind of wrapping up the entire book. It says, it's the italicized part. After reviewing all of the elements of the situation, the Action Committee recommends that this is based off of a story, so I'll read this first. The Action Committee recommends that the W's be allowed to keep their dog. I ask that the covenant be amended. All in favor? And then it says, not so long after the victory, the W sold the unit anyways. They did so because Mr. W observed, I don't want to live in a building with people who don't like dogs. So basically, the way that this guy's entire story lays out, and we all read it, is he, invests in this space, in like this hotel, this complex, the entire bottom floor of it, gets all the units, keeps one for himself. This was really a crazy story.
Yeah,
like
it was.
upsetting,
Super
dude.
wild.
It was so upsetting to
Yeah.
read. Like he invested, helped them get this building, kind of off the ground. Literally, he was the bottom floor, and then like they've built the rest of the units, stuff like that. Then they decided to. They went from, he was in the contract, was allowed to have his dog. Then they went from, and no one else was allowed to have dogs. They eventually have a committee amended and say you can have dogs, but it's got to be the whole like
Less
15
than-
pounds
yeah.
or less or whatever it is. And he's got a bigger dog. And this is like an older couple and stuff like that too. So like now that all these other small dogs are around, it's more obvious that he's got the big dog. People are taking notice of it. They have a problem. They're confronting him and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to the board meeting. They still basically refuses. So he offers them this ultimatum, and where he's just like, okay, I'll rent out my unit to just,
My
all
employees,
to my
my
employees,
blue collar.
whoever wants to come down here and like do whatever. And they're like, well, that will be almost more of an infringement on our lifestyle, whatever that is, amongst those people. So they allow it, and then so they get him to amend it to allow his dog, and then he sells it anyways, just as like I don't want to live in a place like.
Yeah, that was a
it
crazy
was
story.
a cool situation. It was a cool
I
story.
love
to
when
end it
books
off
do
with.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a funny one, and that is it. That is it. So, final thoughts. Overall
Well,
thoughts
biggest
on
biggest takeaways.
biggest takeaways.
There you go.
You want me to kick it off to get you guys started? Because I write
Sure.
mine down.
Yeah.
I just only got a few of them. So I had financially free and independent people are happier than people who have more things but no wealth or assets or something like that. I also have you need a budget to plan. You need a budget or a plan to successfully build and track wealth. You can't really do it just hoping. You need to have some type of plan in place. And then great offense, which means earning a higher income, and poor defense, which is like the lack of saving and investing, will translate to underaccumulation of wealth.
Yeah.
So if you don't have, if you can play great, that was my favorite analogy. If you can play great offense, but you can't play great defense, and how you defend spending your money and stuff like that, it will just be like they said. You'll just be a high consumer. You'll be just like a lot of people, Hollywood.
Yeah.
Essentially. And that were my 3 biggest ones. Discipline's a big one too, but I feel like that translates from every book that we've read.
Yeah.
For sure.
It builds on the character thing.
Yeah.
My biggest takeaway about this book was, you don't have to look like a millionaire to be a millionaire. And there's multiple ways to become a millionaire. You just got to start.
Yeah.
That's what I took from that. And just the crazy stats that are in here.
Yeah.
Just a wild stats.
And I'd be really curious, like the revised version of this book from 2024.
Oh
Yeah.
bro.
Like what the numbers are.
It did do it
tried to project. It tried to do.
Did you read the preface?
Oh no, I
The
didn't.
preface is updated to the 21st century.
Oh, it has. Did it have some numbers and stuff? In there?
I think it just like said like, from what I remember, it was like basically saying like, yeah, nothing's changed. This book is still relevant.
Wow.
Fair enough. Nothing's changed, but the inflation just doesn't account for inflation. I guess you would just be able to look at different numbers and how much it's grown, because they projected in the book a bunch of times, like this is for 2000.
Average household is 30,000.
Yeah, projected now to like 80,000 if
Yeah.
you're reading it at a certain time or whatever over the next 5-10 years.
There you go. Biggest takeaway.
Mine was definitely like you have to have a plan for sure. There are so many ways you can get wealthy. Like my biggest thing was the dude in the book. He made $75,000 a year, but he was a millionaire because of how he lived. And like I was thinking about it on the way here. I'm like, the only thing that really came to mind, that kept coming to my mind, is frugal.
That's
Like,
what
if
it
you can
was.
just-
That's I think was like probably, honestly, I need to write that. That's probably the biggest takeaway
Yeah.
from the book is like, unless you're going to be able to earn a ton of money, I guess actually more so being able to live below your means was a huge highlight of the book. Like no matter what you're making, being able to live below that. So that way, not only if there's like some problem, you can like cut back, and it doesn't like, because when we've seen money changes people or it amplifies you or whatever, but like the loss of money, whatever, can also change you if you're not like in a spot to be able to handle that. So it's like, money makes the world go round for the most part.
Yeah.
So it's like how do you look at it in a proper light? Just basically like you summarized at the end of that, where it's like money's the icing on the cake, but you have to like have your other values in place, your other character values in place, and then if you're super hardworking, you're the best in your field, you're the hardest worker, it'll find you somehow.
Yeah. No, I thought it was a really good read. Nice short read. Very happy with this book. And this was book 12. Book 11?
10?
Book 10.
Book 10.
Book 10.
Book 10.
Speaking of,
This was great, bro.
Uh-oh. Well, okay. We're doing the debut, then going to short snippets?
let's do that, because I
Okay.
don't got my question.
Okay. Landon's got his Landon's got his book, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. We're unboxing live.
Oh, this is great. This
Just
is the
came
first
in.
Now
unboxing.
he told me, he
Watch
said,
it
hey,
be
this
the
book
wrong
is
book.
coming to your house. Do not open it. You better not open it.
And it's from Amazon. I
He
can
said
tell
you-
he didn't.
He said you'd be committing mail fraud if you open this.
Which is true. So
All right.
good job. We did not break the law.
All right. What's the? Is there any intro to this? Any reason why you chose this book?
Yeah, I was battling back and forth between if I wanted to do a love book or not, because it was February. But then
You're
I
out
did,
of your mind.
So
Were you
then-
really?
just not like, but it would have had to have been a
Twilight?
good one. No, no. But yeah, no. I only battled with that for a couple seconds. I decided not to. So, then I thought back. My last book I chose was an autobiography. So I wanted to, after kind of building on this one, go with more of like a serious one, more of like a developmental type book after going through some finance stuff. So this one we're going to be doing
Oh, let's go,
is called
Let's go.
The Atomic Habits.
dude. Have you
by-
read this? You guys haven't read this. So I listened to the audiobook. You guys are
great.
gonna love
Is this
this.
fantastic?
Yo, this stuff is crazy.
It is. It is.
So
This is
I
super
think,
good.
So I think, I mean, I'll speak for myself here. It's easy to have some bad habits. I think probably most people have some form of habit they wish they could change. And we just, it's February. It's not the new. It's
Another
not the
hard
new
copy,
year, but
man.
it's
You're the Mr. Hard Copy.
Yeah, bro.
well,
Jeez.
it was cheaper.
It was
Hey.
cheaper than a hard copy?
It was
For
cheaper.
real?
It was cheaper than the paperback, but I think
Interesting.
they were.
Big
I don't know
boy,
if they were
too.
used or whatever, but either way, yeah. So we're going with the Atomic Habits: Tiny Changes, Remarkable Results by James Clear. So I mean, I did kind of the research. I was between this one and the other one I was gonna do was like analyzing emotions and how to like not read people's minds, but I think that's what the title of the book was. But just like being able to read people's behaviors. This seemed a little bit more fitting because it's February. I think it'd be a good time kicking off the second month of the year, get our habits right,
Yeah.
and see what we can do for the rest of 2024.
This is a really good read.
So I'm
I
excited.
I
about
don't
this.
remember it, so I'm glad I get to reread this.
Audiobooks are always a little bit tougher to track
Yeah,
too. So I
'cause
mean,
I was driving all the time. So,
Yeah.
but
all right,
now
so this would be great. So
I'm excited.
let's see. Let's go ahead and see where we start.
All right.
Are we gonna go introduction for this? It starts on page 1.
Yes.
Let's just read the introduction.
Yeah.
All
So,
right, so page 1, and it goes all the way to what? How do it goes all
oh
the way.
my gosh, we're gonna be pumping.
This is a
Goes
read.
all the way to 265. 266. So 266 divided by 4. What we got? 7, 14, 21, 28, 66.
66.5.
Ah,
It's not
Man, it's a
bad.
human calculator.
that was a literal.
All right,
guess.
so
I knew it was in the 60s.
66.5. If you want to cut it short, we can stop it at beginning of first law,
It goes straight to 67 if we want.
or if you want to go that chapter 5.
Yeah, you want
we'll
to
do
go
that?
chapter 5?
All right.
Yeah.
There you go. So we're gonna read all the way up to chapter 5 of Atomic
Wow.
Habits by James Clear. Make sure you guys
Yeah.
buy the book. Click the link in the description. Support the podcast. Also supporting that knowledge. We'll be starting that
Help us help you.
next week.
Yeah,
But
exactly, bro.
Help us help you.
Before we wrap up this episode, let's jump into our short snippets. Miguel, do you want to take us? You want to start us off with the
Here-
quote?
Yes.
Quote of
Alright.
the day.
So this is from Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Fight for the things you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you.
Ooh, I like
Ooh,
that.
it's really good.
Yeah,
that
be
one.
an inspiration. Same way kids follow by example, lead by example in all aspects of life. I
Yeah.
mean, why not?
It might pertain to me.
Hey, I like that.
All right.
You got a fact or wait, you're not doing a fact. You're doing something different.
Yes.
Oh, here you go. Here, I'll go first since yours is super long.
Okay.
What was a moment, and this is just stumbled upon this. What was the moment in your life where you felt the most motivated?
Ooh, wow.
The most motivated?
Yeah. Hey. I'll go first for you.
All right.
I would say probably whenever I decided to drop out of college and move to
I
Florida.
was gonna say that was wild. That was a wild time.
Nice.
Like that first couple months of like this.
the months leading up to it and the first months being down here.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the time where I felt the most motivated because I mean, you look back at it, like I was driving all over Florida, buying shoes, spending hours listing them, spending hours shipping them out, all for like minimal profit.
Mhm.
But we thought it was going to take us to the moon, and obviously we ended up
We
kind
learned a
of
lot.
transition. We learned a ton from that time period, but like, yeah, that was the time I felt most motivated because it felt like I was doing all that work and just kind of waiting to see what was going to come from it, not really knowing because it wasn't. If you just sign up to work for someone, there's some sort of security in that. Whenever I took that first, especially coming from like a teacher household, whenever I took that first like, okay, I'm not going to be in a school system coaching a team next year like I had been going to school for the last 3.5 years.
Mhm.
All right, well, we got to do something here. Those student loans are going to kick in eventually. So, yeah, that's probably where I'd say I felt the most motivated at.
Ooh, I think it would have to be last year in April when I found out the great news that
yeah.
it's having a child.
Yeah.
That is so
That
true.
would
It was
that would
such a-
motivate you.
I
Yeah,
can't
bro,
even
like-
imagine that.
Dude,
news.
that's like a
Different level, man.
Dude.
different. Yeah.
Different level.
Yeah, my gosh. That's a great answer.
Yeah, bro.
All right. What about you? You ever been motivated before?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm just trying to narrow it down.
I think when we got the very first office, that's when
Oh yeah.
that's when it was like kind of crazy because I was like, this is our space, and it was the tiniest space in the world. Like Miguel saw it. Like
Yeah.
I think you could. I mean, if Landon and I, if we both spread our arms out, we would touch wall to wall, and just the amount of hours overnights. I slept up there. We cooked dinner up there. We did a lot. So when
Dude.
we first got those keys,
That's really
Such a
good. We
good
literally
idea,
have a
bro.
picture of us holding those keys.
Yeah.
That's funny though, because I would almost spin that forward. I felt more motivated getting this space than I did at that space because in my head I was like, we can cover rent here.
Mm.
yeah,
We can cover. It might be by a little bit, but like we were both living at your parents' house, whatever. Like we can cover rent here. Whenever we got this space that we moved into, I was like, last month could not afford this place, so we're gonna have to do something more. It's like
Yeah.
whatever we're doing, like we wouldn't be able to afford this place. So it was my first time where like for my money, it was like we will have to be more successful to make this place work. Like moving into that place, we had honestly, I don't know how much we had saved or made or whatever, but we had been making some form of money to be like, hey,
I
let's
think
get this $500
I
unit.
think we
It was-
had I think the finances we had like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
If
At that point in time,
yeah.
we had like 3 months, but like we moved in there like, okay, we're gonna like be able to do more,
Yeah.
to do other things and stuff like that. Plus, it was time for us to like kind of make that step, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But like moving into this place is where I really felt because we spent more time here.
Yeah.
For one, like even at the other space, I mean, we would see each other a couple times a week there. We would,
Yeah.
I would be there more often than you, just like doing the stuff there that was at the place. But we both had other jobs and stuff like that we were doing. This place, it didn't take more than probably a month or two until I came here full time,
Yeah.
straight from the jump. But you had to come on full time too because we were just ready to do it.
Yeah.
So, I
yeah,
mean-
he was be like, "Yo, man, you gotta leave.
Yeah.
You gotta
You
leave."
were
Yeah.
wasting away.
I was like, "Come on, man. Like, you gotta leave." And then I'm here, and then I'm like still working for the other. He's like,
Yeah,
"What
yeah.
are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, just stop."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
it. No, because they needed you over there too, but
I mean,
they
yeah.
but they weren't getting
Yeah.
the most out of you. What
Yeah.
you were
Yeah.
doing, sleeving cards.
Yeah.
Dude, it's
Yeah.
freaking crazy.
Funny.
Yeah.
All right,
Hilarious.
my segment.
Oh gosh.
Here we go. Are
He
we
said
ready
he's
for
got,
this
like,
one?
5 of 'em.
This
Yeah,
one's
man.
pretty good. Are
listen.
they wrong, or am I wrong?
We'll
Am I wrong
get it
for
naturally.
giving my date my review of her after she wanted to give me a review of me?
Oh, I like this.
I had a date with a girl last week, and so goes. Here's the story. Chatting with her is like pulling with teeth. I would get 1 to 2 texts every 2 to 3 days. So I found out she was what she did for work. That she had friends. She liked to stay at home when tired, and her last watch Netflix. So we're going on a date, and she basically said, "Look, you're not someone I'm attracted to. Do you mind me telling you why?" I said, "F it. Let's hear where I went wrong. First date in the last year and a half, so I might be a little rusty." According to her, I was not confident enough, like not bragging about my job, and was not focused on those 3 things because I didn't know anything else about her. I also felt that I was afraid of earning more. Than me. When school ends, we'll be making roughly the same. I might even make more. Then she asked if I've ever been in a relationship. I joked with her I was in multiple. I asked her the same thing, and she said she was only in a few things, and the guy was always late because they couldn't handle her working schedule. So I asked if I should leave a review, and she said sure. So I told her that. I said I wasn't going to flaunt what I do for a living because I don't like bragging or puffing out my chest. I'm confident in the way I am, but I don't like to show it off or show my inner self until I know you better. I didn't know squat about her because she was very closed off. Don't assume that someone would be intimidated about their partner earning more. Lady, you literally just don't know how much my take-home salary was. Don't assume that guys always want to go out. I actually prefer staying in, actually. I gave her examples of what I did. For my exes that basically showed that I wasn't like the guys she was attracted to or who left after not being able to handle her schedule. She kind of went silent and thanked me for my feedback and she would consider what I said. Am I wrong?
No.
No?
I don't think he's wrong, bro. Honestly,
Yeah.
because it's like if she's gonna give you all that, it's like, okay, why not? Like, just let me tell you what's really going on. But it's crazy that, oh man, it's just so crazy. I talk to my fiance about this all the time. Like, it's so hard out here to be single and like navigate the streets right now.
The
'Cause,
streets.
like, bro, I couldn't imagine going on a date and a woman just comes up to me and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not really feeling you, but like here's why." Goes off on a tangent and I'm supposed to just sit there and be like, "Oh, okay, cool,"
Have a
and
good
just go
one.
home.
Yeah.
Like, no, bro. Like, first off,
Especially
this
the
is-
confidence thing.
yeah, like come on now.
Uh,
I'm being humble, lady. Like, please.
Landon,
kindness for weakness.
is he wrong?
No, definitely not wrong. I think you can kind of like, it goes with everything else. You can almost like see the people that you're talking about just through the story, where it's just
Yeah.
like, maybe this girl, I mean, the confidence levels are actually opposite of what you're projecting. So this girl's like, oh I got this busy work schedule. Guys
Yeah.
don't want to be with me. I'm working around the clock. Which to me, the more work you are, you're just like, okay, you're probably making some type of money, or you're at least working a lot. So you're either crazy or you're volunteering or something, but you're probably making X amount of money. So if you think that this other person is like not talking about their job, which means, oh, in your head he's not making a lot of money, you're already putting yourself up on this pedestal to where you're just like, yeah, I don't think this is gonna work out. And then it's almost, whenever she goes silent, I think that's I think that means yes, he's not wrong.
Right.
Like he's not wrong because she doesn't go, well, this that. It seems like to me it seems like, they weren't gonna work out, obviously, from that. Like you can just tell from like,
Dude,
you would like the connection to go better than
That
that,
is
unless it's some
crazy.
type of
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Like you can almost, it's like you said. I mean, I can't really speak to it anymore. It's been like a decade. But like you go out with someone and then like you're around them enough to where it's just like, I don't know if this is gonna work over time. And if that thought creeps into your mind that early, that's not really supposed to happen. I don't think
Yeah.
that's the way that it generally works. For me, it was always like, oh my gosh, you're in love with this person or whatever it is, you like them so much that like someone will say, yo, this girl's whack for this reason. You're like, bro, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even see that.
Yeah.
If you're already nitpicking flaws and stuff like that, granted, I've never dated as a grown up. Like I've only dated as like a teenager to young 20-year-old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's like, in my head, it's just like, if you're already like from the jump, like, oh, we're not hitting it off, like it's going to be a little bit tough automatically if there's already confidence issues and
Yeah.
already talking about how much money. Like, yo, it's the first or second date.
Yo, that
It should be
the
fun.
audacity
Yeah.
to come out and be like, yeah, no, this ain't working. Here's
Let me
why
tell you
it's
why.
not working.
Can I tell you why?
Can I tell
It's like,
you
do you
why?
need that big of a confidence
You're
boost in
like,
yourself
whoa,
right now?
are you? How about I?
Don't make
yeah.
me chop you at the legs.
What do you mean? Tell you why? No, like never.
Yeah,
I don't
there
think
you
I
go.
would.
What do you think? Yeah, give
I
your
would
full take.
Never.
Give your full take.
I would. I don't. The audacity
Look at
on
him.
her to like come
Go
out.
off.
The come out. I would be shocked.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if she like mid like haven't even gotten the bill yet, and she's like, yeah, this ain't gonna work out. Before I go though, I
That's
need to tell you
hilarious.
exactly why it's not gonna work out.
Yeah.
Like be like, no.
Dude, his
Like,
response was very measured. That's where
Yeah.
it's obviously he was
Yeah.
right, in my
That's good,
opinion.
though.
Like,
Yeah.
he had a very, like, this is why I didn't want to seem overconfident. This is what I do for my job. It wasn't just like,
yeah,
hey, you think you're so much better than me? I'm this much better than you. It was just like, this is what I do
crazy.
from my
though.
vantage
Yeah.
point. I'm like, that's a mature response right
yeah,
there.
that is wild though.
And like on the
Be
other
like-
side too, if she's working that much, she's trying to compensate for something.
I could see that.
So it's like,
Get
I
'em,
mean,
Miguel.
that's just
Get
the
'em.
other side of it. It's
Get
like
'em.
if you're working that much and like you clearly are lacking in something if you have to put that much effort into what you're doing. I mean,
And
granted,
talk about it as like the entry point as to why
Exactly.
it's not gonna work. Like, oh, this is why people always leave.
yes,
Dude, that's like a telltale sign.
Right.
Yes.
That's
Like
a
that-
red flag
like
right there. yeah.
Anyone that if you're, I don't even put it this way, but if you're worth, oh man, I don't know if I should say that. If you're worth loving, I don't know if that's the correct way to put
Dang.
it. Like, you're gonna stick around, you know?
Don't-
Yeah.
It's
don't,
like, oh,
man.
you're moving across the country. We'll work it out.
yeah,
We'll work it out.
For
We'll
sure.
FaceTime all the time because whenever I'm not working, I'm gonna want to see you and talk
Mhm.
to you. Like, these people obviously didn't even get close to scratching that box.
yeah,
yeah, bro.
but yeah.
It's
Well,
tough.
there you go. Hey, 2 for 2 on they're not
Dude,
wrong.
eat us
So,
up in the comments. Just if you just totally disagree. You imagine this gets on someone's thing. It's like
nah, a
we're
lot
on,
of them,
like, a
a lot
bunch
of
of
them
girls
agree.
are
A lot of
watching-
them agree. They're like, nah, bro, you're good. You're not wrong.
no,
You're
but
not
they're
wrong.
saying, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like girls come on our shit,
They're
just
gonna go
flood it, and they're just like,
crazy.
no, she's just a
She was just being
Confident.
honest.
she's just a strong, independent woman.
But yeah. Well, that's going to wrap up another great episode of the Book Club Bros. Remember, guys, Atomic Habits by James Clear is the next book. We're reading up to chapter 5. Up to chapter 5. That's right, guys.
Shout out again to the Millionaire Next Door. Another one
Another
down
great
the
read,
chamber.
yeah.
There we go. But we got a big one now. Big read. Another 70 pages easy.
We're 2 books away from a full dozen,
Yeah, bro.
a
it's
full year of reading.
Wow.
So crazy.
You know what I heard before we wrap up? I heard a crazy podcast stat. It said you're in the top 90% of podcasts if you make more than 3 episodes. You're in the top 1% of podcasts, 99% of podcasts if you make over 20.
Wow.
We're there,
So,
right? Because we do 4 a month.
if
We're
we
way
did-
over that.
Yeah.
4, 8, 12. Yeah, we're
Wow.
way over that.
Yeah. So,
What have we
Shout out.
done? Let's do fast math real quick. 10 books?
40.
40. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
easy math.
40,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forty.
Shout out to us.
around, well,
40 episodes. We may have
some-
merged a couple.
there's been a
I'd say
couple, you know,
36.
we're at least we're over 20. We're over
36.
20. So,
We're in the 30s.
hey, little pat on the back.
Yeah,
Uh,
seriously.
We're getting this through. But all right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. And you might see us in a new studio pretty soon.
Hey,
Right.
That's
it'll
right.
probably look like
That's
this.
right. We'll see.